What's up, everybody? This is Colin from Holistic Heritage Homestead. I hope you're all well. I have some heartbreaking news, folks. It seems that the death toll count from Hurricane Helene is over 200 people. At this point, I assume that number is going to continue to rise. There are still many people missing. There are thousands of people without power, and they might not have power for another week, 2 weeks, maybe more. There are many communities that are completely destroyed. I want to talk to you folks about 5 lessons we can learn from Hurricane Helene, from this horrible tragedy that is happening right now. 5 lessons that are very important. These lessons come from people who are boots on the ground, eyewitnesses, people that are actually there. This is not political. What I'm going to tell you is irrefutably true. So, I hope you listen. This can save lives, this information. Save your family's lives, your life. This is very important. I'm going to get right into it. Number 1, do not rely on or expect anybody to save you. Now, that goes with every emergency preparedness scenario, from breaking your ankle and not having a job to full-blown SHTF apocalyptic scenario. You should prepare as if you can only rely on your family, if you have family, and yourself. That's it. Now, there are people saying the powers that be, including law enforcement officers, are nowhere to be found. Now, I'm going to say it. There are people that have bad intentions in this world. If you don't think that, you're naive. You're naive. And you're probably willfully ignorant. Now, I'm just going to say, a lot of so-called conspiracy theories end up being very, very true. So do your own research as to why there is a lack of response. Because there is a lack of a response, and it's really horrible how little these people are being helped. Now, there are civilians using their own equipment. There's a gentleman who's using his own helicopter and paying to refuel it on his own to save people. Meanwhile, we have plenty of military equipment that could be used, helicopters that could be used to save people. And they're not really doing what they should be doing. Now, to be fair, people don't always have bad intentions. Even with good intentions, folks, do not rely on the powers that be, law enforcement officers, your neighbors, or anyone to save you. Because even people with good intentions, they have limited resources. For example, in rural America, there might be one sheriff might have to cover 100 square miles or something, or something crazy like that. There's just not enough people. If you approach it in a formulaic way and you do the math, you will quickly realize it's impossible sometimes for first responders and people who want to help. It's impossible. They don't have the funding, they don't have the equipment, they don't have the manpower. Don't expect them to be there. Now, you might be thinking, Colin, that's negative, that's fatalistic. I'm not trying to be fatalistic. I'm not trying to be an alarmist. I'm trying to be a realist. I'm trying to get you to think and prepare if you're not already. Because this is happening. These things happen all the time around the world. We're blessed as Americans to not struggle and face as many emergency scenarios as a lot of other people around the world. But things happen here as well, as you can see. So don't rely on other people. Number 2, you should periodically reconsider your prepping priorities. And that might mean changing your priorities, folks. What was a priority yesterday might not be a priority now. I'm going to give you an example. A lot of people prioritize their preparedness plan and the preps they get based on what they like, what their hobbies are. Some people are into primitive survival skills, and they'll buy every prep you could imagine to be able to go into the wilderness and survive, probably for a shorter amount of time than they think they can, most people. And that's cool. Primitive survival skills, absolutely important. That knowledge, important. Great. It has a time and a place. Certain scenarios, priceless to know that stuff and to have those. And those things could save your life. So therefore, they are priceless, those things that you might have. But if you're not preparing for other scenarios, that's a big problem. A lot of people are into tactical stuff, tactical training. They spend a lot of time at the range with freedom tools, security tools, which are very necessary. And they don't think about starvation. They don't think about medicine, whatever. They should be. So you need to be honest with yourselves and dig deep and really self-reflect and think, are you prioritizing your preps the way you should be? And if you're really honest with yourselves, you might find out you're leaning towards what you like, what's fun. It's really cool to put on a bunch of gear, get some freedom tools, and go train. It's cool. It's a lot of fun. I get it. Can you produce your own food, though? Do you have alternative energy sources? Prioritize. And that prioritizing should be talking with your family members. Husbands, talk to your wives. Wives, talk to your husbands. Parents, talk to your child or your children. Come up with plans that make sense for where you live, the times we live in right now, okay? And for just all the possible scenarios and threats that are really relevant to you where you live. Sounds like common sense, but this is something that has to be done or should be done periodically. I would say at least every 6 months, preferably every 3 months, because the world changes very quick. What might happen now might not have been really an issue, might not have been likely a year or two ago, but things change real quick. You live in the southeastern United States, you should prepare for hurricanes. You live in the Midwest, well, you should prepare for tornadoes. You live in high population centers, New York, LA, well, you should prepare for situations and horrible things that can happen and do happen in high population centers. So what I've learned is from this scenario is a lot of people, they realize that the freedom tools weren't that important. They might be as this continues and time passes, people get more desperate. Desperate people do desperate things. They can become violent. People get hungry, thirsty. They're taking care of their child or children. They don't want to look them into the eyes and say they've got no food. So they'll do whatever to make that happen. And that means stealing, killing, whatever. That's reality. Okay? I don't think that's the major issue right now there. Right now, the major issue is people need water. They need food. They need energy, like electricity, fuel, whatever. Their phones charged, whatever. Communication, okay? They need communications and medicine. So if you're not thinking about stockpiling medicine, if you have diabetes and you take insulin, you need to talk to your doctor and get extra stored away. And it has to be refrigerated, I believe. So correct me if that's wrong in the comments below. If you take certain psychological meds, okay? By the way, for the most part, I'm pretty much against most of those things. I think they cause more damage than good. However, there are certain people in certain situations that they're going to really struggle without those things. You need to talk to your doctor or your doctors. Get some stuff. The company Jace offers the Jace case, antibiotics. If you get a cut in the woods, you're out there, you get a cut and that gets infected, you're going to have a big problem in an SHTF scenario if you can't go to the hospital. You get pneumonia. Antibiotics, by the way, they're usually horrible for people. They're horrible in your body. I'm just going to say they are. However, they have a time and a place. They could save your life. Save the life of someone you love, your family member or a friend. So that's what you need to be thinking about. So don't just focus on cool and fun and tactical and trendy and whatever. Prioritize and customize according to where you live, your family's needs, your community, your threats. Number 3, prepare for everything. Now you might be thinking, Colin, you just said reconsider our prepping priorities. Yes, you should. You should prioritize. At the same time, you need to prepare for everything because things happen and life's going to throw you curveballs. If you're preparing for A, B, C, and D scenarios, you better be prepared for E, because that's how life happens sometimes. Now, you've only got so many resources, time, money, energy, whatever. I get it, but you should be preparing for everything a little bit. You should, at least a little bit. Now, if you want to focus on certain things and prioritize, absolutely. But everything you can imagine, from breaking your ankle and not being able to work and having a financial crisis for your family, job loss, whatever, to civil unrest, civil war maybe, I don't know. Could that happen in America? A whole different discussion. But maybe. You should prepare for it though. Drought, famine, full-blown SHTF apocalyptic scenarios. You should prepare for all of those situations. You absolutely should. You should prepare for supply lines, supply chains to fail, like they did in 2020 when that thing happened. You know what I'm saying? When a lot of people suddenly became preppers because they realized being prepared is important. Yeah, things happen, okay? Prepare for everything. So this way, if you're diversifying your prepfolio, your preparedness portfolio, however you want to look at it, you'll be at least a little bit prepared for different situations. Number 4, community networking. One of the great things I have heard from this horrible thing, Hurricane Helene, is that community has really, people have really been great. They've been helping one another. And without the law enforcement officers and without the powers that be, without them, because they haven't been around at least as much as they should be, these people, civilians, have been stepping up and taking care of one another. And that is awesome. That's a beautiful thing, and that's what we should be doing as people. We're supposed to love one another. There are people in your community that are going to need help in a disaster scenario. That could be everybody. But there are certain people in particular you really should be aware of. Keep them on your mind. Keep them in your heart. Elderly people, mentally handicapped people, physically handicapped people, widows, poor people, whoever. There are going to be people that need help more than other people. Now, know your neighbors. Know who your neighbors are. You should have a group of like-minded individuals in your community as close as possible to you. Proximity is important. That are preppers. If they're not preppers, you should be educating them. You should be planting those seeds to provoke thought, to get them to become preppers. Because you don't want hungry neighbors. I posted a video about that. Check that video out. You do not want hungry neighbors. Obviously, it's better for them not to be hungry. It's also better for your family and better for you if they're not hungry. So develop a group. Network with a group. Have a group. Aim to go alone. Be as self-sufficient as possible with your family, with yourself. Besides that, you should absolutely expect to rely on people, because certain things, folks, like this, they last longer than 1, 2, 3, 4 days. These folks are going to be struggling for months to come because of this hurricane. It's horrible. Okay. Number 5, I want you folks to think about rehearsing your bugging in and your bugging out. Now, some people, for some reason, I don't understand why, some people think it's an either or. They should only prepare to bug in. They should only prepare to bug out. Well, as a prepper, you've got to do both. Just like I said earlier, prepare for everything. That was one of the points, one of the lessons that you folks should be learning. Prepare for everything. If there's a hurricane and you've got notice, you've got time, well, you might want to leave town until things get better. Or just maybe they won't be so bad, you come back sooner. Okay, than you might expect. I don't know. But you might have time in certain situations to bug out. If you think there's civil unrest and it's spreading closer and closer to your town, riots, whatever, you might have time to get out. And you probably should. If you have a bug out location, a secure location, a safe place, a place that is your own, and if it's not your own, you better have a very good, solid understanding, preferably a family member, more likely than a friend to trust. Not necessarily. Someone that you know you can rely on, that you are welcome in an emergency scenario in their home. I posted about that before too, the conversations that preppers should be having. And that is, hey, Uncle Johnny, if something bad happens, can I come to your house? I'll bring some supplies. Had that conversation. Uncle Johnny, is it okay if my family and I show up to your house if something happens? Have that understanding, okay? Rehearse your bugging in and bugging out. Don't just think, okay, well, something happens and we have time to bug out and we've got to leave our home. We're going to go to a cabin in the woods that we have. Practice doing that. Practice with your family, grabbing all your stuff and bugging out. Go through the scenario. Practice. Load up your vehicle or vehicles. Drive there. See how long it takes you to load up. See if everybody knows where everything is and puts all the things that you want to take with you in your vehicle or vehicles. How long does it take you to get there? Do you consider alternate routes? Do you consider traffic? What time of day? Traffic is different times of the day. Rehearsing is very important. You're bugging in. Well, what do you mean rehearsing, bugging in? Well, bugging in, that might look like a person in your family, or if you're bugging in with other people that are like a neighbor might come over, or whatever the situation is, somebody might be on patrol. They might be security. They want to take their position. That's part of bugging in preparation. You might be rotating who is on watch. You might be boarding up windows, doors, securing things. You might be doing certain things with your livestock if you have them, preparing to bug in. You might be, who knows, bringing some of that livestock into your garage in a certain scenario or situations. Maybe you want them closer to you. Maybe you're worried about people taking them. Whatever, burning down your chicken coop, you never know. You should rehearse it. You should discuss these things with your family members, or your family, whoever that is. If you live alone, you better practice yourself. Rehearsing. Don't just talk about it. Planning it could be part of rehearsing, maybe, but I'm talking about actual rehearsing. Doing it. So you know what to do and you make it happen if and when a situation comes up. All right? So 5 things. Do not rely on others to take care of you. Number 2, reconsider your prepping priorities. Be honest about what you're preparing for, why you're preparing for it. Does it make sense for you, for your family, for yourself? Is it realistic? Is it a realistic threat, a likely threat? Where you are? Think about those things. Be brutally honest with yourselves. Prioritizing. If you have 30 freedom tools, great. And you have no food, bad. Stop getting more freedom tools. Focus on getting water and food. Prioritize, all right? Number 3, prepare for everything, at least a little bit. If you want to focus on certain things and prioritize, you should, but you should be preparing at least a little bit for everything you could think of. Everything you can think of. Number 4, community networking. Know your neighbors. Connect and network with like-minded preppers. Have plans for situations in your group. Okay? Community is very important. Number 5, rehearse your bugging in and your bugging out plans. Do them. Actually practice them. Okay? My heart goes out to all the people that have suffered. My heart goes out to the people who have lost family members and friends from Hurricane Helene. I'm so sorry. I will be saying a prayer for you shortly when I finish this video. And my heart goes out to all the people who are really struggling right now because of this. Stay strong. Keep pushing. Take care of one another, folks. Love one another. Be there for one another. Support one another. And let's do what Americans can do. And let's get through this together. We can. If you found this to be thought-provoking, entertaining, I don't think this is that entertaining of a video, but who knows? Maybe. Educational. If you got any value from this video, please subscribe. Please. Because I'm going to be throwing a lot of preparedness information at you folks in the future. And I want you to think. I want you to consider different things. And I want you to prepare for your family, for yourselves, for your community. Get involved in the comments below. Let me know what the updates are with this situation with Hurricane Helene. Let me know if this was a wake-up call for you. Are you preparing? Are you going to prepare? If you have not been preparing, let me know in the comments below. Take care, everybody.